welcome to Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching our show. We appreciate everybody in the Pittsburgh area, worldwide, and everything else. Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. We just hit 449 when I left the house, guys. That's a new high. So thanks to all of you. And you know that big like button when you go to that Pittsburgh Sportsline. I know how to teach a couple people, including myself. Just hit that. But thanks to BPTV, we got 2 cameramen today. We got John, the intern. He's becoming legendary here. He's now done a couple weeks in a row, so we appreciate that, John. And we got Chris. He come back from downtown South Park, so we appreciate it. He got the Pens T-shirt on, so we're all about
Big
it.
Ben.
Big Ben. I'm sorry.
The time
I'm
is
sorry.
now.
I was thinking Penguins, but you usually wear the Penguin stuff, so I stand corrected. First mistake on the show, so we'll go there. Smoking Jim is stuck in a parking lot. It's not outside here. It's called Monroeville. He's trying to get on the Parkway, as we know it, Parkway East. But for all of you people new to Pittsburgh, 376 is jammed up. It's unusual on a sunny day. So we'll just get him in whenever we can. And we may have to do some promos. And, you know, I like to promote some things. So we'll start right with that. Little Z gave me something at Mr. Small's. They got the Mickey Hart Band. And any of you deadheads, that's a Grateful Dead. The drummer, and I forget his name, Little Z.
Mickey Hart.
Mickey Hart.
Okay. That's why. Sorry. You're a good straight man today, Jim. I was trying to get him to promote this.
I got a million of them now. I got a million of them.
So go to Mr. Small's. That's August 15th. That'll be not this Thursday, but next Thursday. And thanks for getting that, John. Next we have the Western Pennsylvania Police Benevolent Society. They have a special event coming up in a smoke, cigar shop, and lounge. This is on Washington Pike in Collier Township. And they have Shorty, who's the pit boss on Animal Planet, is going to be there. And it's going to start at 6 p.m. August 22nd. So that's a couple weeks away. We'll let you pull that up a little there. Whoa. Thank you very much. So those are a couple events going on. We also talked to Robert Hester last night, was on our SIP show, and the 50 Finest, that's with the cystic fibrosis, I think he was saying in another week, so look for that. Look on Facebook, we've put it up there, and you can check our Facebook page out on that stuff. For all of you that don't know, I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I got Chip the Prophet Hayner here. We got Smoking Jim's in transit. So Mini-Me Z, he's here, and he's not supposed to drink on the show, but I see he is. And then we got Little Z. Zach Brenner is here again on the show with a lot of insights. We had to keep him short on the conversation last night. We overran with all the guests and information. So Little Z said he had a couple things to bring up. And I know if he said a couple, it's probably 10. So we'll go from there. And we start with what's on our mind. And I'm going to go right to you, Little Z. What's on your mind?
Well, thanks a lot, Al Levine. Well, I'm going to tell the folks at home what's on my mind. Being stupid is no joke. So if you have a D, you can't play for Lil Z. And I just want to touch a little bit on, I think the problem that we're having in college academics right now and in football in general and sports is that these kids are so used to being coddled and catered to, and they just let them do whatever they want, that this is the problem we're having right now, that nobody wants to behave and everybody thinks they're privileged and entitled to something. And in the case of Johnny Manziel, he's a freshman Heisman Trophy winner, and he just can't seem to get it together down there in Texas A&M. Keeps charging people for his autograph. That's against the rules. No matter how you look at it, it's against the rules. So my thing is, you got to have academics. You got to be smart. You got to surround yourself with the right people, or it doesn't matter how talented you are on the field. And that's what's on my mind.
I can't wait to revisit that in the next segment.
Good job, Zach. Good job.
Yeah,
Great points.
I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad we didn't talk about that stuff. We'll cover some more of that.
We'll touch on that a little
and
bit later.
Mini-Me Z, you sit tight because Smoking Jim will be coming in the building, hopefully. All right, we're going to go right to the Chip the Prophet Hayner. What's on your mind?
Thanks, Alan. Well, the big news in the sports world the last day and a half has been the whole debacle with Alex Rodriguez and the Biogenesis drug scandal, and the commissioner was flexing his muscles and decided to discipline some of the players, and 12 of the 13 guilty parties accepted their punishment, and because a 50-game slap on the wrist It's really nothing to them. It's no punishment at all. And as a matter of fact, 2 of the guys that have been suspended will be eligible to play in the playoffs because they got suspended with 51 games left in the season. So they'll be able to help their teams in the playoffs. And that's a real punishment for the teams to have and the players to have. But, this one goes out there. My good friend Mike Butera, sorry about this, but shame on the New York Yankees. Shame on Hal Steinbrenner. Shame on Brian Cashman. Shame on Joe Girardi. How could you have played Alex Rodriguez last night, okay? I know you're contractually obligated to pay him. You made him active. You took him off of the disabled list. That doesn't mean you have to play him. I think it was an insult to the game of baseball, and it was an insult to the Pinstripes to have him play last night. I was thinking about this today, and, I think the International Olympic Committee has really got it right as far as their drug punishment program goes. And the way it goes in the International Olympic Committee, you test positive for a banned substance, you get an immediate 2-year ban. And you want to know something? That gets people's attention. And I think the same thing should go for baseball, football, basketball, and you'd straighten up these sports, you'd clean them out completely. Because a 2-year ban, 2 years from now, you may not have the skills that you have right now. You may not be able to command the kind of salary that you've got. So this is going to be the last thing I say about Alex Rodriguez because the whole situation with him just makes me sick. And, once again, Bud Selig, my buddy, has got it all wrong. He's pounding his chest talking about how great his drug program is and how he's disciplining the abusers, and he's really making more of a mockery out of the situation than he is helping it. But that's what's on my mind.
We will talk Alex Rodriguez in the revisitation.
Who?
Aroyd? We'll get to that. We just keep poking the tiger here. We'll get to that. We'll have a great revisitation coming up. What's on my mind is we didn't talk about Tiger Woods. He did win a tournament. It wasn't a major, though. And he looked pretty good on it. And it's one of the ones that it's a rarity to win 8 tournaments like he has. And he's done that 3 different times. So he's on the leaderboard there. And I know Chip disagrees, so we'll have some revisitation there. But my thing is he has been playing at times very well, and he did have a 61, I think. So we'll cover some of this stuff as we get into revisitation. But the other thing I wanted to bring up, with all these scandals with the Peds, I've already had a couple rants and all that, and we'll get back to that on the revisitation, I'm sure. But we do have Steeler training camp. We do have their first preseason game coming up, and we'll cover that in the Steelers segment. But I just wanted to alert you, we are paying attention to the Steelers and the Pirates, and we'll cover more on the Pirates here, and they're playing tonight. So let's bring a winner home lock, and now we're going to go to the revisitation segment, and I don't hear anybody whispering in my ear that Smoking Jim's nearby, so we'll just go to revisitation. Chip, take it away.
Okay, and then just to speak to Alan's point, and I'm glad you brought up Tiger Woods, because if you wouldn't have, I will. And everybody,
yes, I got one in first.
Tune in this weekend. The final major of the season is being played this weekend, the PGA, and this is your last chance to watch Tiger Woods choke in a major tournament. He'll make it number 18 in a row this weekend.
Whoa. Well,
that's why they call him the Prophet.
I'm hoping there's the Prophet. That's why I named him the Prophet. He made some outstanding calls, like when he predicted the Giants would win the Super Bowl. That's when I started calling him the Prophet. He did it before anybody jumped on their bandwagon, when they looked like they were firing their head coach, when they looked in a shambles. So he is the Prophet. Has he been 100%? You tell me a prophet that's 100%.
No, nobody's 100%. But that's just, I feel strongly about that, and I stick with my convictions.
And that's what I appreciate. But I got to at least give Tiger Woods 79 wins to be 3 behind Sam Snead and doing it as a younger man. That is awesome.
He got a lot of golf left to play, Chip.
Well, if he can stay healthy. And I know he's not taking any Peds now.
That we know of.
Well, he doesn't look like it, is what I'm saying with my casual
he looks
observance.
regular now.
Yeah, he looks normal size. That Nike shirt, I could fit into one. So I'm looking forward to some red Nikes here, okay? But that's some of what I noticed.
Well, to speak to Zach's point about Johnny Manziel, and Johnny Manziel is once again he's a freshman that won the Heisman Trophy, and that was truly an amazing season he had last year. Really put himself on the map. But Johnny Manziel right now is enjoying his 15 minutes of fame, and you know what? He needs to enjoy it while it lasts because it will be fleeting. Johnny Manziel, I'll tell this, is going to be exactly like Tim Tebow, another Heisman Trophy winner that will be a miserable failure as a pro quarterback. I don't see this kid ever making it in the pros. And as a matter of fact, if he plays this year, because now with these questions about whether or not he got paid for his autograph, now you have to think about this. Now, if the coach from Texas A&M plays him and it finds out later that he was ineligible, then they have to forfeit all those wins that they have. So, what's going to happen? And with all the pressure and attention he's got, he's in for a big letdown this year. Last year you can't really improve on the season he had last year. So.
It's hard. It's hard to improve on that, but it's also hard when you have a father saying you trained on Skittles and beer. Those aren't good things when you talk about that.
He is a college kid, though. So
here's the thing.
He's a young man.
We understand all of that, and especially
he's under the spotlight.
Wait, there's 24/7 media, so you're definitely under it. So if you know that, why would you even go around saying it? Do what some other people with class. Don't be talking about it and let everybody else point the fingers, and then when they call you in the carpet, you're guilty and you get thrown out, you can cry and say you're sorry.
That's the problem with being a celebrity in this day and age, because I don't think that professional athletes and college-aged athletes are doing anything different nowadays than they did in the past. But now, instantly, somebody's got a video of you.
Terrell Pryor drove around Ohio State in a Lexus. He didn't earn that Lexus. Where did he get that Lexus from? Where did he get those tattoos from? Where did he get the tattoos from? Come on.
But
these kids all think they're entitled to things. That's why they go to the colleges they go to. That's why it's a big deal on selection day when these kids are making their announcements on letter of intent day. It's why it's such a big deal, because it matters. And in this culture, in this day and age, winning is the only thing that matters. And that's where I take exception. I'll take a kid, that's smart over a kid that's stupid all day. I don't care,
But generally,
with a bunch of smart kids. They win with a bunch of stupid ones.
They make such a big deal out of selection day, and they say I picked this school for this and that. Why don't they just come out and say, you know what, I picked this school because they promised me the most money. You know what I mean?
Well, Reggie Bush's parents got a house,
a Beamer. This guy promised me a
Heisman Trophy back.
I like foreign imports, so I'm going with this school.
Well, part of it goes back to we had a show where I talked about they should pay it, and we argued about the pros and cons of that. But when you think about it, the NCAA makes billions of dollars. They have a guy who's in charge of the NCAA. Is so hip.
It doesn't matter. You're there for an education.
They're not.
You're there for an education.
Here's my point to it. Give these scholarships to kids who need the scholarships, who want to be doctors, who want to be engineers, not the football players. Pay them. Because basically you are. They take money. There's no doubt. Pay the players, so it's like a minor league type of situation.
But the players are getting paid, because you think about it. When you got a full ride on a scholarship, you're getting room and board. Plus you're paying for your school.
No, I disagree because they don't consider it pay. Here's what they consider pay.
But that's
that dollar I got of yours that you're going to grab?
$50,000 a semester. If you look at that over 4 years, that's about $300,000 or $400,000.
I know kids from the city of Clareton. It's the city of Clareton. They come from nothing.
They
come from nothing.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're playing for the University of Pittsburgh. You're playing for basically the best college university that we have aside from Penn State now, which is in shambles. But what do you do? When you're one of these kids and you're the best in Western Pennsylvania.
Here's the problem. If you think like the kids, if you ask a kid that's playing football, did you make $50,000 this year? He goes, no way. Well, you got a scholarship. He does not consider that money.
Right.
Here's what he considers money. You gave me money for my books. You gave me laundry money. You gave me money to eat. That's money.
Yeah.
So that's why I say if they gave him something, then the temptations may be less. I don't know, but you need a strong commissioner in the NCAA.
No, but what you need is you need to teach these kids the value of what they're getting.
Exactly.
Because they're not being taught. They're
It's
not being taught properly.
It's not.
But that's the problem, though.
We'll have to agree to disagree.
And that's why if you don't take the education,
we'll have to agree to disagree.
if they
I
don't
was
take
ready
the
to throw it out. I
education
just wanted to
serious.
carry this a little longer.
Yeah.
The problem is society changed. I know I'm much older than you, but it changed.
All this
and you
is-
can't get that genie back in the bottle.
And
She's
all
not
this,
going back in.
and all this goes back to the home. You know what I mean? These
homes
are
are
lessons.
shot.
These are lessons that
Russell Show.
parents are supposed to teach their children. They're not supposed to go to college to have to learn these kind of
Well,
lessons.
you're going to get, we'll agree to disagree, and I got to blame my generation for a lot of the things that we raised the kids because we made them what they are. I take the blame for that. Little Z, you're almost half my age. I mean, you're a year past half my age, so it's my fault. I take the blame. I could have done better. Are there a lot of good people and good young people? Yes.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of what society has done. Look at how we have to be politically correct. I can't say go by the KISS method, which means keep it simple, stupid, because I've had people get upset at me. And it's one of the greatest things to read about, the KISS method. And that would solve a lot of your business issues when you work. But I can't say keep it simple, stupid. So we're going to get off of this subject. We'll agree to disagree. We'll have to have a show another time when Pittsburgh Sportsline presents
Absolutely.
what's going on in society.
Yeah.
We'll cover that another time.
Yeah.
Hey, switching to a little fun. Usually we don't get so serious, guys, but we are opinionated here, and you know we're locked in a room here, so we're not getting out until one of us right.
No, and you know what? And even though we may disagree, we all get along famously, so it's all good.
There's no doubt. It may be a little drama here, but hey, that's what we do. Now we're going to Sips Sports Bar. You got to come up there. Just Google it. Go to our Facebook page. You'll see where it's at. I'm tired of saying that address on West Liberty Avenue. It's downtown West Liberty Avenue. You'll see it. We had great guests again. Robert Hester come back. He was going to take other photos, but our cover photos, his photo.
We had a young lady sing a version of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" that was one of the best I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's Militia Hutchinson. She just is fantastic.
Beautiful young lady, and she's got a voice like a bird.
Model.
I mean, I'm telling you.
And she does fundraising for people. She's just a great person. She also knew my
Personality
friend
plus
that I had on the show, the Empress of Biz. We'll give a shout out to her. If you need money and you're in business, contact the Empress of Biz, Joanne Forrester. She's helped people get over $40-some million in the last 35 years to help out. So Little Z's interested. We had another guest, Denny Briggs. He's a young entrepreneur, 17 years old. He took down the number.
And he's he was playing for the university.
He's a running back.
3.7
GPA, so I got to give a
Yeah,
shout
and
out
he'll
to
be
that
running
young
for
man.
the Pitt Panthers next year, 2014. He's already committed. Plays at Shady Side Academy right now.
Right. And he said
Look
some of his
forward to
other
it.
friends are already there and are going to be there. So shout out to the Briggs family. Thanks for coming out there. Great show. Back to Sips. They got Sunday trivia night. Come there for trivia night. Monday night is Pittsburgh Sportsline night. So come there. You can even see John the intern there. He's setting up all the time. Devin Ward's there.
and
Aaron Ward. So they're all out there.
The people that make it happen behind the cameras.
Yes, definitely.
Owners,
So,
Mark and Tina, Dan,
yeah, new
Pete
home.
in the kitchen.
The Kamikaze Kid.
Kamikaze,
Always good for a
newly
couple of
inducted
laps.
into the SIPS.
Yeah,
Sports Hall of Fame.
Right, and speaking of Smoking Jim, who inducts all these people, he's not going to make it. He's stuck at Mount Washington right now. So I just got the word on the bat phone. He's not going to be here. So Smoking Jim's going to miss for his second appearance. Only the second time he's missed. On Tuesday nights, Smoking Jim. Oh man, I got to text him. Stop at Campete. No, at Sips. He could get pizza for us and meet us after the show. Where is he at? 25 cents a slice, Little Z, for that pizza. Chip and I are all in. Don Campete, shout out to you. Thanks.
Love your
Appreciate
pizza.
the pizza. We got to have some more. Then on Wednesday night, it's a Smokin' Jim $1 drink ladies' night special. That's Sips Sports Bar Wednesday night. Now there's parking, free parking after 4 o'clock across the street. There's parking after 7 on that side of the street, so you can park for free. Get drinks for $1, ladies. Stop at Sips Sports Bar. Thursday night, they got a wing special, 25 cents. They also have other food specials, drink specials, happy hours at 4 o'clock. Make sure you're there early. Be safe if you're out there. We're not trying to promote drinking, except when you're there, get a designated driver. There's cabs there. And you got to watch the police stations right nearby there, too. So be safe. Friday night, they have entertainment. Saturday night, too. Great place to go to. A lot of great sports talk there. Not just us, but other people there. We get a lot of great input. So check out Sip Sports Bar. Now we go to Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. He told me to bring up something about Greensburg and Dino's Bar. So we're going to save that for next week.
Okay.
Well, I got a little fact for you.
Well, then, how about we got the best substitute off the bench, on the playing field, Little Z. How about your Fiction and Fact?
Fiction and Fact. On this
From
panel,
Little Z's Almanac.
On this panel, we have one host from Gateway and one host from Still Valley. And that's Fiction and Fact from Little Z's Almanac. And how many Super Bowls does Gateway have player-wise? 0. Still Valley, 2.
2. How about name those guys?
That's what we got. Charlie Batch, we got Mr. Walker from the San Francisco 49ers.
Nice.
When Steve Young and them boys wanted Jerry Rice in the 90s.
Nice.
So, shout out to Adam Walker and company.
Very well said. That was some fiction fact from the substitution.
All
by
facts.
Little Z's Almanac.
From the substitute almanac.
Yeah, no fiction tonight, folks.
No fiction.
Unless
all fact.
Mini Me Z wants to chime in. Not yet. He's not ready yet. I don't hear him. He's mic'd up, then. All right. We'll go to my favorite segment of the night here, especially since Smoking Jim disappeared. It's Chip's trivia time, folks, and he's going to prepare us with some great trivia. I just know it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Alan. And the first little bit of trivia, and I kind of let this one out of the bag last night, but on August the 5th, 1921, very first baseball game was broadcast live on KDKA radio. From Forbes Field, the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Philadelphia Phillies 8-5. And you know, the significant thing about that is I believe the Philadelphia Phillies were the first team to lose 10,000 games, and the Pittsburgh Pirates happened to be one of 6 teams that have won 10,000. So a little shout out to my buccos there.
There you go.
Also on August the 5th, 1969, I was just a 9-year-old lad. And I bring this one up because, yesterday all these suspensions came down for all the PED users, and there's these people that, claim to be home run champions that were juicing, that, in my mind's eye, their records don't count. But Willie Stargell, playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who's playing left field that afternoon at Dodger Stadium, became the only Major League Baseball player ever to hit the ball completely out of Dodger Stadium.
Chavez Ravine.
And that is without performance-enhancing drugs. This is something McGuire didn't do, Bonds didn't do, Sosa didn't do this, any of these other idiots that were juicing. So that's a pretty significant record to have. And I know that's not the only stadium that Willie Stargell hit the ball out of. I can remember watching him hit the ball into the swimming pool in the Jerry Park in Montreal. Yes, more than once. Also, again with the steroid era and how Roger Clemens had to, go using the juice to extend his career into his 40s. Satchel Paige, on August the 6th, 1952, became the oldest pitcher to ever pitch a complete game shutout at 46 years old.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about this, because this goes back to one of my previous trivia times, and this was several months back, but the losing pitcher in that game was a gentleman named Virgil Fire Trucks. And Virgil Trucks, his claim to fame was he is one of, I believe, 7 guys in Major League Baseball history that pitched back-to-back no-hitters. So that was back in the, that was 1952. Yeah,
Satchel Paige play for the Grays?
Satchel Paige played for he played for the Homestead Grays. He played for the Crawfords.
Yeah.
He played for most of the teams in the Negro Leagues when he was a younger man. And he really didn't break into the majors until after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. Right. Also, I always have had this opinion, and Alan knows about this, that, the true home run champion in Major League Baseball is Hammer and Hank Aaron. And on August the 6th, 1972, Hank Aaron hit his 660th and 661st home run. And the significance of those 2 home runs was that Hank Aaron broke a record of Babe Ruth's that day, which was he hit the most home runs with the same team in history. By hitting his 661st home run. So Hank Aaron...
That was with the Braves, right?
Yes, the Braves. First they played in Milwaukee. They moved to Atlanta later, but it was still the same team.
Braves, right?
Yes, they've always been the Braves. So, not only did Hank Aaron break that record of Babe Ruth, he broke Babe Ruth's career home run record, and he still holds the career home run record in Major League Baseball. Also, on August the 6th, in 1981, there was a 7-week baseball strike in the middle of the season, and for the first,
I remember that, little Z.
And the first time, this was the first time that this ever happened in Major League history where they did this. But what they did was they decided to have a split season, and they picked 4 winners of the first half of the season that automatically qualified for the playoffs, and then they played the second half of the season, and the top 4 teams from the second half of the season would play the top 4 teams from the first half.
It was like a bowling league.
So the first teams that qualified for the playoffs that year were the Oakland A's, the New York Yankees, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that was a significant thing. And then one last little oddity that happened on this date in Major League Baseball history was a guy named Scott Hatteberg. He had a pretty amazing feat in consecutive at-bats, and nobody else has ever done this.
Wow.
In consecutive at-bats, he hit into a triple play in the first one, and on his next at-bat, he hit a grand slam home run.
That has to be impossible. The odds are astronomical. They gotta be.
And if I told you that somebody would have done that, you would have said to me, "There's no way it's possible."
What year was that?
I forgot to write down the year, but that was.
Shame on me.
Shame on me. I do know that. I do know that he did play for the Boston Red Sox, but that is an amazing feat. Give me how many people can you say hit into a triple play next time up, you clean the bases?
That's amazing. I'm just going to revisit your trivia because I appreciate what you're saying. But Bud Selig, your hero, anti-hero, had a chance to shut Barry Bonds down, and he did not. Because they didn't change the laws and rules. Just like, with Roger Maris, with people putting an asterisk by his name because of the longer season. I never thought that was fair because they changed how you look at the game. And I just wanted to revisit some of that because, we all are opinionated on it. I like the statistics because that's what baseball's all about. But you're delusional, my friend, because Selig's in charge. There's no asterisk.
Yeah,
I'm
not the one that's delusional. I think it's Bud Selig.
Yeah.
But Hank Aaron is the home run king. It always will be.
I won't argue with you on that.
Well, I respect him, but the thing is, baseball, whether you can be on performance-enhancing drugs or not, most people don't care about the drugs that they're on. They'll just want to see good baseball. And baseball needed that boost. Look at McGuire. Look at Sosa. Look what happened during those times. Now you have a guy, Davis, that has 40 home runs. So now there's always a doubt. Are you on something?
And that's
what's bad. That's what bothers me more than anything.
That's what the shame is because, to be honest with you, all this talk's going on about Alex Rodriguez, and I mentioned this last night. If you really are a true fan of the game of baseball, we're witnessing one of the most amazing seasons in a long time. A lot of teams are resurging, contending for their division crowns. Teams that are in small markets that aren't spending $200 million on payroll, and it's giving people a chance to hope in smaller markets like Kansas City and Baltimore and Cleveland and Pittsburgh, because you don't have to go out there and try to spend dollar for dollar with the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers, and you can still contend and bring it.
But then you see how they change rules again, and this is part of what my point is. They have the pirate rule that you can't spend all that money on minor league clubs. Because maybe some of these people that are intelligent saw what they were actually doing. Where I didn't see it, I didn't realize the talent that they were accumulating that would do well because they sell it off all the time. Only this year they haven't. There is a change because they do have a winning team, and that's.
Don't you think it's in human nature to cheat though? Like there's always it's in human nature. They're always gonna push the boundaries. They had an epidemic in horse racing. Wrestling. Bruno Sammartino, a Pittsburgh legend, refused to get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame until they cleaned up the steroids. they're punishing their bodies. They're going to pay for it down the line. Look at Hulk Hogan. Look at all the wrestlers. Like you're going to pay for it.
Wait, how many people in the 70s that played football died before they were 50 or in their 50s? So think about it. So those vitamins that they had that I was telling you about, Little Z, I'm suspicious. Okay? And that's what they had on their training tables.
Speaking of old football players, just to throw a little something out. One of the, last weekend, the inductions to the Hall of Fame for Pro Football Hall of Fame, but also last weekend, one of the most colorful characters in NFL history passed away. And his name is Art Donovan. And if you've ever seen any of the interviews done with Art Donovan on NFL films, watch them. Watch them. He is a hoot. Now, here's the other interesting thing about Art Donovan. Art Donovan is a member of. We talk about the Packers of the 60s and the Steelers of the 70s and the 49ers of the 80s and there was the Cowboys of the early 90s, But the Baltimore Colts from the late 50s to like 1970 were another team that was a dynasty in its own right. They won 2 world championships. They won one against the New York Giants in what they called the greatest game ever played. Yeah. And they also won a Super Bowl by beating the Dallas Cowboys.
Wasn't Art Donovan the first Baltimore Colt? I think he was the first.
I don't know if he was the first, but I know he won 2 championships with the Baltimore Colts. And the Colts of the 60s, I mean, you probably won't recognize these names, and I know if Jim was here, he would. You had people like Raymond Berry. You had John Mackey at tight end. Johnny Unitas. You had Lenny Moore.
You got to know who Johnny is.
You had Mike Curtis as middle linebacker. You had Art Donovan on the end. Bubba Smith. Who could forget Bubba Smith? Right. So there's some great teams, and the passing of a true warrior, and he think he was 82 years. 82?
I think he was the first Baltimore Colt, because I say this, when they went back to Baltimore, Jonathan Ogden was the first pick of the thing, and they were saying that during the broadcast, that Donovan was the first Baltimore Colt, he was the first Raven.
Right, that makes sense.
I think that's.
But if you ever do get a chance, watch some old NFL film. Listen to the interview.
Did a lot of great commercials.
I'll tell you what they said. He was one of the best speakers on the banquet circuit of anybody.
Police Academy. I mean, that's a classic for you folks. If you never got to watch Bubba Smith play football, you watch him on Police Academy.
I watched him play football.
He was much better in football than Police Academy, although he was hilarious.
That's back in the days when our defensive linemen were animals. The fearsome force.
They changed the rules. Those head slaps, they talk about concussions. Those helmets didn't have much padding anyhow. Guys were concussed every play.
And what about the guys that played with leather helmets that had no kind of...
They didn't get hurt so bad.
Yeah, they didn't lead with their heads like Adrian Peterson does.
Yeah, there were some differences there. And none of them had antler deer underwear.
Well, we don't know what Adrian Peterson took to get back so fast either. So there's
In
always going to be questions, no matter what. Now,
well, there will be.
Is
now
Usain Bolt the fastest man in the world? Like, what is he doing? Is he truly the fastest man in the world, or is he taking something? Tyson
Gay was taking something.
Correct. So
and he's got a 2-year ban. Wow, that
does play around in the Olympics.
Well, then it takes the power out of the commissioner's hands. So then they do the right thing. And you do have to have some rules. Everybody knows you need some rules. Like I was saying last night, I'm sure there's some people out there, I'm not promoting this, we're in the police station here, but I've watched people go through stop signs, red lights, go over the white line, but when they get caught, how do you plead your way out of it?
You know for a fact, there's a kid in the laboratory right now crafting the next thing, man, that they can't be detected.
No, the next thing's out. It's the thing after that I'm worried about.
Yeah, and that's the whole problem, because with whatever test they come up
to detect
money. Something,
there's too much money on
the chemists are ahead of them, and they can already make something that can be masked.
Would you like to be mediocre and make hundreds of thousands, or do you want to take something and make millions? And live.
And that's a decision each individual has to make for themselves.
But if you ban it and you test it and you get these guys out and you ban them for life, then it sends a strong message. And that's the only way to truly eradicate it. Pete Rose got banned from baseball for betting on baseball. Come on, like, you took something to break records and you're in the book. You didn't get banned.
Yeah, but there were other things that these guys were taking to play a 162-game season. I know we'll talk about that on another segment. Sure. It's just been going on, whether it was hot dogs and beer with my greatest player of all time, Babe Ruth.
Those things aren't illegal. Those things are completely, you
well,
know.
there was something
Depending
called
on what's in the hot
prohibition.
dog.
There was
Depending what's in the hot
there
dog.
was something called prohibition in the 20s, buddy. I can't keep talking history here. I'm not bringing books that way. I think I have one.
What are we giving?
We're going boxing now.
Boxing
we
now.
got some boxing to bring out.
What was the gentleman's name we interviewed last night? Jose,
the Puerto Rican
The
Prince.
Puerto Rican
Prince.
Prince. I wanted to bring up, great friend of the show now. We're actually going to have a boxing event on the 24th of August that's coming up. We're going to have more details with that, with amateur boxing. And Boom Boom Mancini's supposed to be involved in some of this. He was showing me some pictures on his phone. And Jose's going to like our page and try to get us up to 500 on Pittsburgh Sportsline. So we appreciate it. He was just
that's
great.
500 likes, PED free.
Right, and I
All natural.
I even promoted that we're going to cross that 500 mark without PEDs.
Well, I don't know. We don't have a good testing program here at Pittsburgh Sports.
That's okay. We're doing it the right way.
We're not going with the PEDs. Don't offer us any PEDs, okay?
Peds.
And then with boxing, I do want to shout out Sammy Vasquez and congratulations on his fight. Even he said it was a little quick on the count there and getting the TKO that he did. I watched the video, so we don't have all the details. I've invited Sammy Vasquez Sr. and Jr., and Sr. did reach out to me, but it was too late to get Sammy here on the show at SIPS because of being out of town in Colorado and training and having a family there. And they are great family men. And like I can say to them, who can?
Mexican.
And then who can?
American.
And that's not heating and
Well,
cooling
I'll tell you
for
this: Brenner
guys.
Contractors fought harder guys than that, so we'll see what happens out here. But one of my problems is, and me and my guys are arguing about this. We don't feel as optimistic about boxing here in the city of Pittsburgh as everybody else.
Okay.
We actually feel like it's on the decline, and for reasons like you see, where these cards are watered down. You're not fighting anybody. You know, it's not worth $35. It's not worth $20. I'll fight somebody in the parking lot for free, and it'll be more entertaining.
Not tonight, buddy. Not tonight. He
Well,
doesn't
not in
mean
Bethel
that.
Park.
Okay, thanks.
Figuratively speaking.
Figuratively speaking,
And
but
if they catch him going through Bronzeville Road or something, you're welcome. If you're on Maytide, you're welcome again. Keep watching the show.
please.
And it's Verizon 32 everywhere. YouTube, worldwide.
Comcast 7.
Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. I'm sorry about that. We need to work on it. I don't know all the stipulations, but we are getting a lot of people seeing us everywhere and are telling us they're watching the show. I get people asking me all the time, so it's some good stuff. But stay tuned with boxing. Jose wants to promote something. The Puerto Rican Prince is going to promote something every 45 days, little Z. So they're going to have to get some people that want to fight competitively.
It's not a question of getting people to fight. It's a question of fighting the best people.
Well, I'm saying competitive fighting. That's what I'm saying. That you're not just going to have.
You know,
I just
Zach-
put a video up when Muhammad Ali was fighting a bum every month, and they were talking about it. Check that video out.
Zach, you do make an excellent point, and I'm not trying to point a finger at anybody here or offend anybody in the Pittsburgh area. But one of the problems that I've seen in boxing, just in general, nationwide, is that you don't see the best fighters fighting the best fighters. I mean, Money Mayweather, the biggest fight probably of this century so far could have been Mayweather and Pacquiao when those two were both on their game, and they refused to put aside their differences.
Too many stipulations
to fight, and that's the fight we all wanted to see. Those are the two best at their craft. And you know what? Back in the 80s and in the 70s, we used to see the best fight the best. You used to see Duran and Leonard and Hagler and Hearns, and you used to see all these great fighters.
Now tell me this, since you just brought that up. In the 2000s, go and name me that stuff.
I can't.
You can't. Because there is no great rivalries. There is no great fighters.
I think what they've done is they've made so many belts available that you're confused as to who's the champ and who's not. You
have no idea. There's so many belts. There's so many different classifications and things like that. Like you saw, but you watched that Eddie Chambers fight. You saw a guy that went from fighting heavyweights like the Klitschko's to fighting a 24-year-old nobody from South Africa and getting completely outclassed in a lighter division.
Listen to why. The Puerto Rican Prince gave me the insights after the fight. You're going to love this. He goes, he should have stayed up there. And I'm quoting him, maybe paraphrasing, not exactly, folks. So please don't criticize me too much. But he was saying he was fighting the heavyweights because he's much faster than those guys.
But he fights at a heavyweight.
No, wait. And that's part of it, because I said what you said. I said, wait a second. He goes, think about it. When you go to a cruiserweight, the guys may have the same speed, hand speed as you. So now you're not the faster guy. But a heavyweight fighting a cruiserweight, he could have an advantage. That made sense. Because I was arguing with him like you, see. I said right off the bat, but now that made sense. So now maybe his handler should have said, just stay with the heavyweight. Because I didn't watch the end of the fight.
Well,
it was that bad.
We've most of the fighters that we've interviewed, and they've all been very impressed with him, and they all want to fight, and they'll fight anybody. But then you get the promoters get in the way, and
the money gets in the way.
Fights are scheduled, and then they're canceled, and then the opponents don't show up, and these guys that want to fight, they
we got too many Indians and not enough Chiefs, and I'm almost in a position where I'm almost being forced to try to apply for a promoter's license, because the only way to really straighten it up is to pull up your bootstraps and start putting it on.
If anybody can do it, folks. Little Z, Zach Brenner, owner of Brenner Contracting, he's everywhere. You're hearing it first. We've talked about it privately. Now it's out publicly. He may become a boxing promoter. He might throw that hat. Well, not today. He's all cleaned up. He doesn't want to show that cranium, folks.
But you know what? And to speak to that, Don King's hair went up like this. Zach's beard's going to go down like this.
My hair's going up. Hey, can I be your PR guy? Can I help promote you?
Why not? Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to get that.
Just dial white. Dial white.
Yeah. I'll just let mine keep growing. Mariana DeZazu wasn't there today.
I'll be the first promoter to fight a fighter at a press conference. I
don't know if you're the first. There's been a couple that in the past.
I'm not just going to sit there and wave flags, folks. You can believe that. But we got to give the people what they want.
Hey, we haven't talked Pirates that much.
Good deal.
And we got to bring some Pirate Bucko talk. Let's go Bucks. The Kool-Aid tastes great now.
And I'll tell you what.
Best record, division-leading Buccos. Go ahead, Chip.
Since the All-Star break, Pirates played 18 games in 17 days. There was an oddity to make up a rain date. They actually played a doubleheader, and I remember when they used to play doubleheaders regularly. But the Pirates in the first 18 games after the All-Star break are 11-7. Pretty respectable. Not only did they move from second place into first, they took it to the St. Louis Cardinals, and St. Louis Cardinals are arguably the best team in the major leagues this year. Everybody says they've got the best hitting team, and the Pirates pitching tamed them 4 games in a row. We took 4 or 5 from them. Took 2 of 3 from the Colorado Rockies this past weekend.
2 series in a row.
We've got the Miami Marlins tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday afternoon. Tonight, Jeff Locke's going to try to get back on track again. His last 2 outings got a little wild.
Too bad
he lost a little consistency. Tomorrow night, Charlie Morton. Getting back on the horse. Man. Charlie Morton had a bad outing his last game.
Give one more try.
Albatross of that.
One more try.
I'll tell you what. I'll be down at the game tomorrow. I'll personally be rooting on Charlie myself.
Oh, I know you got something going on. What time's that starter on that game?
7:05.
All right.
Give or take a couple of seconds.
Look for Chip the Prophet Hayner.
I'll be up behind home plate, and I'll be helping the ump call balls and strikes, because one of the things that I've noticed in the games that I've been at, and especially Saturday night's game, I was sitting there, and the ump, there's no consistency in a ball and strike calling. I mean, the pitcher would throw the same pitch in the same place 3 times in a row and get called.
When the commissioner of the league is a joke, what do you expect? From the top down.
They should go to instant replay for some of the calls. I still believe the balls and strikes need to be called by the umpire behind the plate. Yeah. That part of the human element of the game.
You don't think there's technology that exists that can pinpoint?
Well, they
have a radar gun that can give you the speed. We don't have like a target.
Little Z, don't you watch the Pirate games like all of us?
I listen to it on the radio. I'm old school.
They have a little thing that they'll show whether the ball's in the strike zone or not. And it's pretty accurate.
No, you know what?
And that takes the human element right out of it.
To be honest with you, that would be, then why not just put the ball on a tee and have the guys just swing at it and hit it? Why even have a pitcher? We
were both pitchers, buddy. You can't do that.
No, but I mean, the umps, because a strike zone is going to vary from ump to ump, and you got an umpiring crew, so you're not going to have the same ump calling balls and strikes if you have a 3-game series, a 4-game series. the Pirates are positioned pretty well. They got a 2-game lead over St. Louis. St. Louis took it on the nose last night from the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the Dodgers,
well, they ran out of runs. They scored so many runs in Cincinnati.
The Dodgers right now are the hottest team in baseball. As a matter of fact, the Dodgers have, last night beating St. Louis in St. Louis, have won 15 straight road games. So,
well, they said we got a litmus test coming up when we go to St. Louis and we have to play them, and we'll see how we do in St. Louis.
Hey, we already had that litmus test.
We'll have 6 more games against them in the stretch down the road.
Yeah, we've got 9 more against.
We
have 9 more total. And you know what? And the thing is, I love about the way Clint Hurdle manages his team and the mindset that they've got. The most important game that they're playing is the one that they're playing tonight. And that's the way they do things. And regardless of how they perform.
Chuck, no.
That's the way.
That's the
way you do it.
Regardless of how you perform tonight, you win tonight, you lose tonight, you take a shower, you walk out of there, you go home, you come in tomorrow, and it's a new day, and you've got another opportunity. And all they're going to try to do is score one more run than their opponent each game. It's not.
It sounds so simple as a fan.
Well, they didn't make any moves at the trade deadline,
and neither did anybody else.
What about the pitching staff? Do you think they're going to bring somebody up or send somebody down?
There can be some changes. There probably will bring somebody up at some point. They're kind of limited on who they can move. The only person really right now that they can move on the staff is Jarrett Cole, because he's the only one that they can option up or down. Any of the other pitchers, if they want to try to move them, they're going to put them out on the waiver line, and I can guarantee you pick any pitcher in the Pirates bullpen, starter or reliever, and you put him on the waiver wire, he won't last a blink of an eye.
How impressed have you been with Francisco Liriano?
Francisco Liriano's pitching lights out, and you know what? Right now, I'd say there's 2 candidates for the Cy Young Award in the National League. Clayton Kershaw of the Los Angeles Dodgers and Francisco Liriano.
I heard a good fact today, too, about A.J. Burnett having one of his best seasons ever with his ERA. Normally like 3.3 or something like that. He's like 2.7.
Yeah, he's like 2.7. And the thing is with A.J. Burnett, and he provides leadership and everything, and he is pitching fabulously this year. The only thing that has been happening to A.J. is he's been getting no run support. Sunday, A.J. pitched the second complete game this season. We doubled our complete game totals from last year. Liriano pitched a complete game, and A.J. Burnett pitched a complete game. We beat Colorado 5-1.
That helps the bullpen. That helps middle relief whenever you have a pitcher that can go the distance.
But he's 5-7, and if we scored more than 2 runs in at least 5 or 6 of his games, he could very easily have double-digit victories this year. But the games that he got no decision in, we won more of those games than not because
later on we did.
Because he pitched well enough to keep us in the game. So.
And a fun fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac, he likes Batman too.
Mm-hmm. How about that? That come out pretty much when they interviewed him. They were calling him Batman. I said, there's 2 Batman.
Yeah, well, like Zach was telling me last night, A.J. Burnett always seems to be the clown that puts a pie in the face.
No pie for him.
Nobody got him with a pie in the face after Sunday's
but there is a rumor that, when do you ever see a rosin bag blow up? Did you see that? It blew up twice this year when he was pitching. So somebody has gotten in there. I like the practical jokes myself, and they got him twice.
But that just shows you how much different this team is from 2011. The Pirates contended for a short while, but we all knew that this team wasn't ready for prime time.
They needed some more pieces.
And last year they contended for a while longer, but they weren't ready yet. But, you look at this team this year, it's a completely different team. We have much more depth on the bench, where you have much more depth in the bullpen. And then, if something happens to one of the arms in our bullpen, we've got talent in the minor league system. Right. Brandon Compton, he's pitched 4 games.
And he can't get a start up here again
the last game he pitched was a shutout. The kid pitched lights out. So we've got,
Last year he'd have been kept up here.
Yeah.
They would have kept him because the arms got tired.
And actually, I heard Neil Huntington say something on Sunday that made me actually laugh out loud, was that they're looking for possibly for James McDonald to be some kind of contribution to them in September.
I heard that too.
Let me tell you something about James McDonald. He may have great mechanics and everything.
Later
Keith, folks.
He, he's a head case. I don't know what's going on with him. Wandy Rodriguez, they know he's doing some long tosses off the flat ground. They don't have
come back. That'd be nice.
But but there is no time frame. Nobody can give you a definite answer as to what's going on with him.
Is primed to step up if somebody goes down.
Jameson Tyon last night pitched pretty well in his debut for the Tripoli. The first inning, he had a little bit of a hiccup. He walked the first batter, hit the second one, walked the third one. The fourth batter hit a double, scored 3 runs. And then he pitched 4 and 2/3 innings of shutout ball. So he had a little hiccup, and he got it together. And Lambert, the young kid who hit his Lambeau. Yeah. He hit his 29th home run in the minors this year. He's hit 15 at Indianapolis. He hit 14 at Altoona. And both these ballparks are pitchers' parks, so to speak. You know what I mean? They're not a hitter's park. Like PNC Park is a pitcher-friendly park because it's got such wide outfield areas. So, we're well stocked for the stretch.
It's a lot different this year, and that's part of what happened. That's why I joined the bandwagon early. There's still room on the Bucko bandwagon, so don't feel bad. And the people that have been on there for years, let some of these disgruntled fans come back on. Because I was one, but I'm all in this year. You see, I promote that. Mike Vint, if you notice, I'm talking Bucko talk all the time. Where before he said we need more of that, and Chip was the only guy. Well, part of it is, look at how Hurdle had a coach. When the players don't play and produce like you're supposed to, his gut feeling didn't matter. Well, now he's able to put pieces and players in at the right time because they're producing. That makes a difference. You have talent.
But if you've seen the way the players have grown in the last 3 years, Clint Hurdle has also evolved too.
Well, he admits he's learned.
He's made mistakes, and he's admitted that he's made mistakes, and he doesn't seem to be making those same mistakes now. And one of the things that he seems to have a knack for is making the right move at the right time this year, whether it's putting in a pinch hit or sitting down a pitch or
he's always disciplined the guys. That I'll give him credit there. But he didn't always have the right players to do that.
You need talent. And talent produces. And if you don't have talent, it doesn't matter if you're Vince Lombardi. If you don't have talent on the field, you can be the greatest coach in the world.
Right. And speaking of Vince Lombardi, how many times they run the same play, the same sweep, and it was successful. So just do the same thing, let them stomp you. But in baseball, it's a little different with pitching and everything else, so you do need help there. And since we're talking a little football, we got to get the Steelers in. We only got 7 minutes to go. Little Z, go ahead. Toss some Steelers out.
I got a little scary fact coming out of Latrobe. A lot of our guys on special teams on the kick and punt return coverage are from the offensive team, or the offensive side, and they haven't tackled anybody since high school. So the special teams guys working on getting these guys to tackle right now.
Hold on, I thought we're doing live tackling drills now. You got tackling all the time.
When you have these guys practicing on offense, the special teams coach only gets to really work with the punter and kicker doing most of the things, and then he gets the little bit of time he gets. So he's trying to work these guys in to tackle.
What they've done with the last collective bargaining agreement that was put in place after the football strike is that the amount of work that you can get physical hitting in pads in training camp has been reduced because they're trying to protect the players. And if you notice over the last couple of years, the quality, tackling is becoming a lost art in football.
Ike Taylor can't catch a cold, but Ike Taylor can tackle for a cornerback. Yeah. And if Smoking Jim found that kid in Louisiana,
he did.
That's why he's the great talent evaluator.
Speaking of Ike Taylor, Ike Taylor's the only cornerback that's going to be healthy to play against the Giants this Saturday night. The Steelers are going to have to rely on William Gay, and that is going to be
the rabbit
problematic because Cortez Allen had knee surgery, and
Curtis, they got Victorian.
Curtis Brown sprained his ankle yesterday, and he sprained his ankle when they weren't even practicing in pad. They were going through.
I've been noticing a lot of big boys have been blowing out their knees in non-contact drills. So you don't have to be playing in the hardest physical contact to get injured.
But to speak, some of the people that I've heard are making some good impressions in training camp, and I know my dear friend Smoking Jim Frazier would choke if I said this when he was in here. But Jarvis Jones has been impressing people in training camp. The wide receiver was his name Wheaton has been impressing people. And Le'Veon Bell.
4.3
running back, and we need him.
And you want to know what I think? I think Tomlin made a master stroke today because he put out his where everybody's ranked, like, your first string, second string. They made Bell the 5th string running back for the Giants game. And I think the reason why they're doing that is to show him, you know what? You haven't earned anything yet, son. You need to work harder. And, and it's a great motivational tool. You know who is the number 1 punt returner for the team? Antonio Brown. Now, Antonio Brown's your number 1 receiver, and you're making him the number 1 kick returner, and the number 1 kickoff returner is Emmanuel Sanders. You got your number 1 and your number 2 wide receivers. Now, granted, if Tomlin puts either one of these two back there, running back punts or kicks in the preseason, he needs to have his head examined because those are our top 2 wide receivers, and we're going to need them.
Right. Well, I think Marcus Wheaton is going to have a significant role if he makes the roster, hopefully in special teams on the returns. You can't have your but
you know what they say he might be the number 3 receiver. He might be the 3rd receiver. Well, that's what he's working at. They're looking at Brown number 1, Sanders number 2, and Wheaton can if he earns a position. And you know what? I say they should keep all 5. I think they should keep Plexico. Plexico's good in goal line situations.
I hope he can move a little bit better than he looked last season because he looked like he was in quicksand.
But he hadn't played all year.
No, I know. I give him all the excuses. We did need a couple plays from him, just a couple, to win those games that I was like, I know I picked them to win.
Yeah. Well, so, you bet the house on it because Jim's lead pipe locks.
Right, right. So, I did come back at the end, luckily. But it's tough. I'm telling you. Just a couple plays is all we need.
Yeah, but
we are hopeful this year. And I'm still at 11-5.
I'm at 10-6.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to watching Saturday night's game. I've made arrangements so that I can actually sit down and watch some of the games.
You can scout them for us.
But here's the thing, Smoking Jim is highly critical of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and
they're all friends with him.
And he's got his reasons. But I look at who the Steelers are starting in their offensive line, and all 5 guys that are starting, they're all high draft picks. They're very good athletes and everything. And then you look at who the backups are, and I bet you there isn't half a dozen people that could tell you more than 1 or 2 of the backup offensive linemen.
Well, how many backups do you know throughout the league? It's a backup.
Well, what? The way if you played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they played a lot. Now, one of the things that I'm being optimistic about is the fact that we've got a new offensive line coach this year, and they're going to a new blocking scheme. And Pete Kugler, was that what his name? I was never impressed with him because all we did, even in the years when we won Super Bowls, we complained about how poorly our offensive line protected Ben. But we still won. That's a testament to the caliber of the other athletes.
You give me 5 nobodies, like I told you, 5 nobodies. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Well,
it's how you play.
But that's the thing, and I hope this young offensive line,
but be smart,
gels and can.
Well, I think they'll have a chance if they stay healthy. It does help.
That's always
your offensive line
because
they had talent in college. And sometimes it takes an offensive lineman a little longer. They have to learn the schemes and everything.
Well, like DeCastro said, the physicality is major.
And the quickness.
And
you're playing against monsters.
He said 11-5. He said 10-6. Come see me in December. I'll give you my.
All right. We got about a minute to go, folks. I always like to close it out with some closing remarks. Little Z, what else you got going on? Any closing remarks here?
I just want to thank all the guys, the interns, the cameraman, Chris, John, Devin, Shay, Aaron in the control room, Dave Cable, for always making me look good on the broadcast. See everybody at Sips on Monday, and where's Smoking Jim Frazier?
He's gone, and we're going to have to wrap. Chip, you would just want to say goodbye to your fans out there?
Hey, good night, everybody. Look, next week I'll have some Pirate old-time trivia.
All right, and that is Sips Sports Bar, Monday night, 3024 West Liberty Avenue, 15216. It's centrally located downtown Dormont. Thanks again for everybody watching the show. If you have questions, you can call in, 412-831-3304. See you next Monday. We'll have another lineup of great guests. See you next Tuesday. You can watch us. Chief, Hope you enjoyed your dinner. Thanks for showing up.
Chief.
Take care.